My name is Rita Glavin, and I represent Governor Cuomo. I'm a former federal prosecutor, and I know the difference between putting a case together against a target versus doing independent fact-finding with an open mind. And there has been no open-minded fact-finding in this case. The investigation was conducted to support a predetermined narrative. In our legal system, both sides are heard and given access to the evidence. But here, instead of acting as independent fact finders, the investigators acted as prosecutors, judge, and jury. On Tuesday, the Attorney General and the investigators called a press conference. And within minutes of that very carefully choreographed press conference, there were calls for the governor to step down. We weren't given, as Mr. Fishman told you, any advance notice about when the report would be released, its findings, a chance to respond to errors, inaccuracies, and that was intentional. This was not an exercise in truth finding. Let me tell you that on just our review of the report, and again, as Mr. Fishman informed you, we do not have the underlying evidence that has not been provided to us from that report. We have not had a chance to examine the transcripts or even memos of interview of the 179 people that the Attorney General interviewed. But what I do know, based on the limited information we've been given access to, there are contrary facts and omissions from that report. And you have to ask yourselves why. I'm going to give you 3 examples. The first relates to Executive Assistant number 1. What she has alleged is perhaps the most significant allegation made against the governor. She has said that during the work day, the governor groped her breast in his office. In essence, she has accused Governor Cuomo of sexual assault. The governor has repeatedly denied that ever took place. And quite frankly, when she first raised this in early March, he was stunned. This executive assistant gave an anonymous interview to the Albany Times-Union. It was published on April 7 of 2021, and I encourage you, please read what she told the Times-Union about that day. She told them that she was asked to come to the mansion to fix a technical issue with the governor's iPhone or with his phone. And the report states as fact that she was summoned to the mansion. What she tells the Times-Union is that she walked into the governor's second floor office, where he slammed the door, groped her breast under her shirt and over her bra, and then she left without saying a word because she was so upset. The governor was interviewed on July 17th. And during that interview, he was told for the first time when this alleged incident took place, November 16 of 2020. And after that interview, I did, as the governor's lawyer, what I would have expected that the investigators had already done. I did what any investigator would do, which is I reconstructed the events of that day. Me and my team went through the emails for that day. all the entrance and exit records. And this woman's story, which is stated as fact in the report, is false. The documentary evidence does not support what she said. And what is disturbing to me is that the two investigators did not show that evidence to you. They ignored it. Ask them why. Let's go through the timeline of November 16th, okay? In her account to the Albany Times-Union, she says she was summoned there from the Capitol to the mansion to fix a phone issue. She arrived, she went to the governor's office, he came out from behind his desk, that he groped her, and there was the door slamming. And he said, "I don't care," when she said, someone's going to see us. And then she walked out and left. Well, that's not what happened. She was at the mansion that day for several hours. She wasn't just working with the governor, she was working with other staffers. Emails that she sent while she was at the mansion reflect that she was joking while she was there. She was eating snacks, and she even offered to stay longer at the mansion when her work was done. Here is the timeline that the investigators don't talk about. She arrived at the mansion at 11:59. Within 5-6 minutes after she's there, she's forwarded a speech, okay, from Stephanie Benton, who was also in the mansion that day. She was there to work on a speech, not to fix a phone. And over the next hour or two, the governor was on phone calls with other governors, and he was preparing for a 2 o'clock phone call with governors and the Vice President of the United States about COVID. And he had a series of scheduled calls with governors in connection with that. At 1:59 p.m., she sends an email to Miss Kennedy, who was at the Capitol, another assistant, and said, Steph said, never mind, Harold fixed it. At 2:09 p.m., while the governor is participating in a 30-minute governor's call with the vice president, she emails the draft speech that she'd been working on back to Miss Benton. And then that speech was forwarded to senior staff. At 2:16, Miss Kennedy emails her and asks how it was going at the mansion. And her response at 2:18 p.m., pretty good right now, actually. Carol just came through with some cheese and crackers, so I'm happy now. Carol is a member of the mansion staff. And where Carol serves cheese and crackers is not on the second floor of the governor's offices, it's on the first. And when she emails about getting the cheese and the crackers, Miss Kennedy replies back, you gotta love the cheese. At 2:37, Executive Assistant 1 then emails Miss Benton again, and she says, hey, the gov just came in, said he was good. You need me to do anything else for you before I head back to the Cap? What that email reflects, when it says the governor just came in, there is an office on the first floor of the mansion where the governor's assistants work when they are there. That email reflects that the governor came into that office to say he was good. Didn't need anything else. And then she emails Stephanie Benton to say, is there anything else that you need me to do here before I head back? The governor then was on a phone call with his chief of staff, and Executive Assistant 1 left the mansion at 2:47. This does not in any way, shape, or form reflect what Executive 1 told the Times Union? And again, I asked, why did this report ignore documentary evidence, and why did they not want to tell you? The report instead suggests that the governor falsely testified that there were people around, that he said to touch a woman's breast who I hardly knew in the mansion with 10 staff around. And what the report said, there wasn't evidence that there were 10 mansion staff around in the vicinity of his second floor office that day. Well, the report's wrong. Records reflect that senior staff members were in the mansion working with the governor that day while Executive Assistant 1 was there. Pete Jiminian, Stephanie Benton, Melissa DeRosa, the house staff, as you know, Carol. Carol's usually there with one or two others. There were actually staffers that came in and left to drop something off. Did the investigators ever ask those senior staffers about November 16th? Ask them. Ask the Attorney General. Release the transcripts. Because I'm betting they didn't. It would have taken 5 minutes for the Attorney General's investigators to send a subpoena asking for all emails and records for November 16th, and they didn't do it. You got to ask yourselves why and what this report was designed to do and to not do. When Executive Assistant 1 claims the governor slammed his door, if you were to ask anybody who works in the mansion, because of the age of the mansion, a door being slammed shut echoes. The report doesn't say that anyone corroborated hearing a door slammed, because the fact that the Executive Assistant 1 was in the mansion that day, that's not an often thing that happens during the workday, that Executive Assistant 1 is in the mansion for several hours. Did the investigators even ask any of the people who were there that day? Ask them.